Welcome to the XP Billionaires. It's Rafe speaking, and we have everyone back today. This is awesome. So we've got Irene back from her little hiatus. How are you doing?
Not too bad, all things considered. The kitty is, snoozing right now and being good and recovering slowly. We still don't quite know what's wrong, but she seems to be on the mend. So I'll take that as a win.
That's perfect, and we're really glad to see her doing a lot better. So I know you're having a rough time of it all, and as always, we're here for you if you need us.
Yeah, I really want her to be screaming on my streams again very soon.
That'd be nice, yeah. All right, we've got Sky as well. You can hear the chuckle going on there. How are you today?
Oh, I'm not bad, not bad.
Excellent, excellent. And for the first time in all of our episodes, I get to introduce you all to our XP hobo, Hana Bard. How are you doing today?
I'm not bad today. I definitely stayed up for 6 hours last night playing The Sims after Sky's stream. So a little tired, but otherwise good.
Let's see if you're going to get any sleep tonight then.
Hopefully. I don't know. There's some really cute family photos that to grab.
Oh, you've only just scratched the surface.
I've only seen the one. They're like, you've only seen the ones I've allowed you to see so far.
I have an ever-growing file.
That's awesome. Okay, well, we've got you on here for a reason this week. We are going to do something a little bit fun with regards to our topic today. So when we're talking about RPGs, and you can tell that we've played a lot of them, but there's always, the new players. There's always new people coming into the genre, want to know what are some great games to start with, whether they be new, whether they be retro, but just games that would have a decent enough learning curve and will get you into the franchise. And that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about a couple of great RPGs aimed for beginners, but we're going to have a lot of fun doing it this time around. What is going to happen today is we are transforming this podcast into basically a boardroom. You, Hana, are the video game executive. We are the salespeople trying to pitch you an RPG.
Oh, I've never had so much power in my life.
Also, I will just say that I've already won this contest as I got Hana to play Borderlands 2 with me.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I did set a rule for this contest, and that rule is no hybrids. We're talking straight up starting RPGs, so in a very, very classic format. So we don't want to blur anything. We want to just have just the genre available for the pitch.
I mean, okay.
I know. And I even apologized in the synopsis that this was going to upset you. And I'll apologize again. I'm really sorry about that. But this is just, I want a straight, focused RPG experience for the sales pitch. Now, that said, because we like to do things with a bit more of a challenge, we've each got 5 minutes, and I am going to be timing it. So we've got 5 minutes to sell you on an RPG, and at the end of it, I'd like you to decide which one won. And you can set the criteria of who wins on your own, whether it's the pitch presentation, the gameplay, what we talked about, what seemed to entice you the most. Totally your call. You make the pick, and you can break 2 hearts. And, you can inflate one of our egos.
All right, bring it.
All righty.
Is that the only prize? I am somewhat disappointed.
Well...
I'm a hobo. What did you think I was going to give you?
True. Never mind. Well, I'm not expecting you to give me anything, Rafe.
I'm giving you a chance to beat us at something. I don't know. All right, well...
That's fine. I'm just being difficult.
All right, well, if you think you've got it in the bag, how would you like to start off?
Oh, God, I do not have this in the bag. Please start with somebody else, because, the RPG game I'm going to recommend is Feed the Cat the Slurry Through the Tube.
There's a cat. That's a step in the right direction, right?
Yeah, like that's been my RPG experience for the last like week or so. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to think about this. So please somebody else go first as I scramble to get my talking points together.
All right. Well, that being said, I just got out of a coughing fit that I just unmuted myself from. So, Sky, I'm going to let you go first. So, give me 1 second here. So, you have 5 minutes to wow our executive with your presentation and go.
All right. I'm going to recommend Children of Zodiacs for a beginner's RPG. Now, it's a strategy RPG, which I'm told was allowed. It's a great beginner's game for a number of reasons. The story is good and easy to follow. It's relatively short and not a major time investment. It's available digitally, so it's very accessible. There's the aspects of gameplay are explained very well via the in-game tutorials. They don't leave a lot for you to figure out on your own. And in addition to all this, if you have any experience with board or card games, that may come in handy. So, the basic sum up of the story is it follows a girl named Nami as she fulfills a thieving job for the boss of her gang, Zerkov. Now, the game is not always easy, but the challenge is mitigated by two factors. One, high amounts of customizability, and two, you have the ability to grind. There's optional maps. So if you need to put on a couple more levels, you have that option. Also, good for a beginner is that in this game, unlike I think any other strategy RPG I've ever played, there are only 3 units at any given time for you to control, which feels really weird for me as a veteran of the genre, but for a beginner, it makes it far easier to keep track of everything. It will also be a good game to play if you want to get used to grid-based combat and strategy games with positioning rules and counterattacks, which are in some SRPGs and not others. So it's a good introduction. So I didn't want to pick something really easy because I think you can handle more than that. But it's very manageable, it's well explained, and there's meat enough to this game for everyone. I really enjoyed it. The story is dark at times, but it's not grim dark. It has some really sweet and funny moments. To counter these moments where you're dealing with a society that has very deep class divides. The visual style is really vivid and crisp and doesn't lean too hard on the color brown, which is a major pet peeve of mine with Western video games. In addition to all this, Nami is a compelling female protagonist with actual character development, and all the people surrounding her are interesting in their own right with their own goals and vivid personalities. There's even a series of side missions that put you into the roles of the more antagonistic characters in the story, which I thought was a really nice touch, especially since allegiances end up changing a little bit here and there. So, I think I did it in under 5 minutes. That's what I got.
Okay, yeah, no, that was only 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So that was very well done and very thorough. So I think that was a good option. Hana, do you have any questions with regards to the presentation before we move on to the next one?
Presentation.
I
mean, you did see me stream part of it.
Yeah, that's the thing is I've seen what the gameplay looks like, so I know about the dice and the cards and I don't know, how well would you say that it sort of, I guess, as you're trying to get the hang of the card system and sort of the different moves that are available to you, how well would you say it telegraphs, like what is working versus not working?
Very, very much so. I
Okay.
would say, yeah, you get a sense. The game is very clear about what the card abilities are and what they do.
Okay.
Um, like I had most of it figured out within a fight or two. You could just see it visually. So I
Okay.
don't foresee a problem on that front.
Yeah, that was my impression from the stream too, but from the angle of the person playing, it's always a little hard to tell, especially when you do not know what you are doing, like me.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, if there's nothing more there, I guess we'll move on to the next presentation if you're ready for it.
I am ready for it.
All right. We'll move on to mine then. I assume Irene is still mulling things over, coming up with something.
I think I've landed on what I want to pitch.
Okay.
I basically had a two-way tie, and I think I've landed where I want to go, just because there's a bit more, it's a little bit more open-ended. Well, there's more to this series that I think would be enjoyable for Hana long term.
Okay. Okay. Do you
Intriguing.
want to start with it? Do you want to do it now, or do you want me to go next?
Sure. Let's do this now. Let me get out my laser pointer that you guys can't see.
All right. All right. So
You're just begging the cat to chase that thing, aren't you?
She's not gonna.
All right. Well, on that note, let's get your timer ready, and you may begin.
All right. So I thought I would rep the Western RPGs myself because I've played a lot of them. And after much humming and hawing, I've landed on Dragon Age Origins. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, well, that might be a little much for a beginner. However, I picked it ultimately because it has a lot of different, it has a way for you to like modify the difficulty in a lot of different ways. So you can fine tune, you can start off with like casual difficulty, which automatically applies certain settings, but there's other ways that you can make things like more or less difficult, and you can do it on the fly. So like say that you're having a really hard time on normal, you can easily drop it down into casual mode and it will apply immediately, right? So like there's a lot of ways that you can like make the experience easier or better for yourself. And the reason I picked Dragon Age Origins is because I swear to God, I think I played this game like 10 times. So the story goes that you're in a high fantasy world. You are one of several different backstories that you can start as. And essentially you end up in an organization called the Grey Wardens, which are a force of people that act kind of outside of government in order to stop this force called the Blight, which is just an invasion of Darkspawn. Think of them as like orcs and shit like that, but worse. Because all they do is consume, destroy, and kill everything in sight. But immediately, right at like in the first battle with the Darkspawn, you are drawn into a political conflict where a general commits regicide, and you are the only survivors to know that that's what happened. Like he basically did a power grab. So what comes out of that, though, is ultimately up to the player. You are empowered to shape the world kind of as you see fit. And the game basically tells you very clearly, like, if you pick this option will now be off the table to you. So that it telegraphs really well what some of the consequences of your major decisions will be. So if you want to save this person versus this person, the series has always been great at saying, like, this is the action you're going to take. Note that this is the major consequence for taking this action. And it shapes the world as you go. And the best part is it actually carries forward into the next game and into the series if you are so inclined. You can basically carry your world state forward. So your decisions may not necessarily change the outcome of another game in the series because they are entirely self-contained stories. However, you'll see little bits of like where you've changed things. So like, for example, in my Dragon Age 2, because I chose to become Queen of Ferelden by marrying Alistair, my character showed up. Like, same character model and everything.
just rendered in the new engine. Yeah, so like there's a lot of Plus, outside of all this political intrigue and the excellent storytelling, the lush environments, and the really cool characters, there's a lot of romance options, like a lot by Dragon Age 2. Basically, everyone in your party is romanceable. They are like there's like 2 characters that are definitively straight. Everyone else is bisexual. It's like, and all the characters are cool, and you want to love all of them. I swear to God. Like, especially by Inquisition, I was like, I have to play this game like 6 different times so I can romance at least like 3/4 of my party, because they're all awesome. And the characters are just fun. They're fun. There are exchanges like Solus and Dorian talking about how they're like, Dorian starts off telling Solus that he didn't see him because his outfit is so muted, and Solus starts shouting, "What's that? I couldn't hear you over your outfit." And that's just like wandering around in the map. They bicker. It's amazing. Plus, in Dragon Age 1, you have the option to recruit a dog, a giant warhound Mabari, and he is like one of the best fucking characters in the game. He will kill a dragon for you. It's a lot of fun. The characters are really interesting. The world is really interesting, and for a game like this, you seem to have a lot of control over the outcome. And, you know, you can pick your class as well. There's lots of customization options. It's really great. And I think it would be a great place to start for Western RPGs, just because it nailed a lot of what's great about the genre, while still giving you the ability to do stuff like turn off friendly fire, which I always did. I played in normal, and I specifically hit the turn off friendly fire button, because friendly fire is bullshit.
Get that filthy mortal off me!
All right. Well, that was really clear. I mean, it's true. It's not something I would have picked as a beginner, but you did make several convincing arguments to why it's worth putting on there. Hana, any questions this time?
Gosh, I cannot think of any questions. I think I'm still stuck on the bisexual romance everybody part.
Yeah, Dragon Age 2. Everybody was pretty much protagonist sexual. In Inquisition, they had a little bit more delineation. Just like they had a character they had 2 characters that are explicitly gay, 2 that are explicitly straight. But it works. I really liked the way they did the romances in 2, though, I will admit.
All right. Well, we've got one more presentation before your final decision. So we've got an indie title, we've got a Western RPG. I guess I got to bridge the gap and put in a JRPG, which was always my plan, of course. So I think we'll at least have something covered for you 100% here. So here goes mine, and I will be starting right now. So for mine, I have gone classic old school. I've gone with Final Fantasy VI. For the Super Nintendo was the original release for the game. This was probably one of my first major RPGs that I was able to complete on my own. And at that point, I was maybe 8 years old when I did it. So while it does definitely have some getting used to in terms of RPG styles, like it was aimed for children at the time in terms of playability. And there wasn't that much difficulty in getting the hang of it and getting to the end. There are a lot of things that will allow you to make things a lot easier, but you don't have to do them in order to successfully finish the game, which is nice. Basically, where the story starts out in this snow city of Narsh, where 3 Imperial soldiers basically invade looking for and what's called an Esper, basically a source of ancient magical power. One of the characters, the leader, is known as Terra, and apparently she's under the control of the Empire with a device called a slave crown. When she encounters the Esper, basically the Esper goes haywire, and she's basically knocked unconscious and saved by somebody from Narsh. Once the slave crown is removed, she has no memory of who she is, and basically sets out to find more about who she is, what's going on, and eventually becomes part of a resistance group against the Empire called the Returners. Now, the thing is, she can do something that other people can't, and that's cast actual magic. It's basically a lost art in this society. So she's a bit of an oddity. So the Empire wants her back, and they sent their best and, well, most insane advisor to hunt her down. Basically, the Empire's jester, Kefka. And this guy is nuts. But he makes a very, very interesting villain throughout the end of it. Like, saying anything about some of his atrocities would be a huge spoiler, but he doesn't care if you're friend or foe. You can die all the same. It doesn't matter as long as it suits his end goals. As for the combat itself, you're going into standard turn-based fare. However, it does use what's called an active time battle system, and that allows the game, basically the turn orders, to be set by the character's speed stat. So the faster they are, the quicker they get their turns back. But when you're entering commands, you kind of have to keep paying attention because the enemies are attacking at their own speeds, and that doesn't stop while you're waiting to enter commands. It sounds harder than it actually is. You can easily just get through what you're doing, and they don't make it that difficult. But it's fairly straightforward for that. But and then the characters themselves, they're all very memorable. Like Terra has her own. Each one of them really has their own story that they have to follow. You've got Terra, the amnesiac. You've got Locke, the thief with the heart of gold. Edgar, the womanizing king of a desert castle and a lover of machines. Sabin, the martial artist seeking greater power, and so on and so forth. There's several other characters. You've got Celeste, the Imperial General turncoat. Yeah, like there's so many different ones. Some of them are a little wackier than others. You also have a playable Moogle, if you're familiar with those from Final Fantasy lore, which is also really fun. And each of them are basically a class archetype. They have their own different skill sets. So it allows for your party building to be incredibly customizable to how you want to play it. For example, like I loved Sabin. His special abilities are based on basically inputting commands into the controller like you would if you were playing a fighting game, like quarter circle forward button, that kind of thing for Fireball, for example. But if you don't like that, you don't have to use him. You can put in Edgar, who uses just specialty tools like an auto crossbow or a chainsaw for special attack. So there's lots of different options available for you. It's a great story. It's a great world. And when everything shifts in the second half of the game, you really feel it. And there's a huge emotional impact towards that. That's my time.
Okay.
So that is an instant classic. And yeah, so if you have any other questions for me for that before you make your final decision, I'm all ears.
I'm tempted to make you go back and spell every single name of every character you mentioned.
They're not,
but I'm not going to do that.
They're spelled very much like they sound.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
For those who are less familiar with what we do, Hana is our transcription person.
And I gave them a really hard time when I talked about Neo that one time.
Yeah.
It does not sound like it should have an H in it, you guys.
Hana was having a very hard time finding the game.
I couldn't find it because I couldn't spell it.
I forgot to mention a very important point. You can pause combat at any time for Dragon Age and enter your commands. There, I'm done.
You're cheating. You had your chance.
I know. I just totally forgot. I was like, it's on my list of things to say, and I forgot about it. Because it was very important to my difficulty curve argument to say that you can stop anytime and think about your strategy.
Okay, I actually have a question for everybody.
Okay.
Which is, so being completely new to this, I don't actually even know the systems all that well, and I have no idea what you guys are playing these things on. So that is my question. What is the system that these are all on, and what is sort of the difficulty curve for learning how to control this system that I've never played before because I've never played any of them before?
All right. Well, going
Except
back
I guess a computer.
Yeah, going back to reverse order, for mine, it was originally released on the Super Nintendo, so it was a much older title, but it has been ported to multiple platforms, and I'm almost certain it has been ported to PC at this point, so it is available there.
It
Because-
has, but it's the iOS port. It's not a great port.
but it's still better than nothing.
It's still better than nothing. I'm just saying it's not the best port
No,
for that game.
no, the best port was-
Unfortunately, GBA.
yeah, the best port was Game Boy Advance, definitely. Because of that, it was very limited with limited button controls. The commands are very simple. Like in any traditional JRPG, all your commands are confirm, cancel, that kind of thing. There's a couple of times where you'll use like some of the L or R buttons, for example, some of your trigger buttons, but it's fairly straightforward.
Okay.
All right, Irene, what about yours? What platforms do we have?
I originally played them on the PlayStation 4, but they're readily available on PC. And actually, some people claim that because of the numerous customizations you can make, being able to like map certain things to certain hotkeys, like more buttons would actually be helpful in some cases, because you can map your abilities a little bit more readily than you could on like PS4, because there were only so many buttons.
Weren't the first two on PS3? Did they both get ported over?
No, the first two were on PS3. Inquisition was on both PS3 and PS4.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that's essentially what they're all available on PC. So you could either use mouse and keyboard, or you could plug in an Xbox controller, and that's it.
Right.
Okay.
All right. And Sky, what about yours?
I played it on PS4, but it is available on PC.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, unless there are no other questions, I think we're at the big moment. So the real question is, whose hearts are you going to break?
Oh God. Oh God, the pressure.
He is greatly exaggerating.
Honestly, I figure this is more of like a, hey, you may want to try this someday kind of pitch anyway. It's not like you could only play one game for the rest of your life.
See, now I feel like I have to pick Rafe because the two of you are both saying like, it's not really gonna, it's not gonna affect me emotionally. Rafe is like, whose heart are you gonna break?
You should not reward his. You shouldn't reward his hostage-taking behavior.
That is a good point. Okay. You guys all made really good cases. All of these games sound very fun and interesting. Irene knows me really well, and Irene understands that all you have to say is like bisexual romancing everybody, and I'm done. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to go with Dragon Age.
Nice.
All right. No, that's fair. I figured, maybe we pushed it a little too easy, I guess. Maybe you're looking for a bit more of a challenge. Who knows? But
Romance all the bisexuals.
Yes, this is true. And you can also be as like casual and as committed as you want in these relationships as well. Yeah. The first one had slightly more limited options, but they really opened it up for the rest of the series.
Cool.
Yeah, but there were two options that were like two characters are bisexual. There were four options, two were bisexual, two were straight. It's still good. I'm only sad you couldn't romance the golem, who was one of the best characters.
All right. Well, we have had a lot of fun today. I think this has been an awesome little experiment. And like I was saying originally, like while this was geared to be a really fun pitch for Hana, these are really excellent titles for you to start with, no matter what, for any new RPG player. So if you've just started listening to us and this happens to be your first foray into the world of RPGs, I hope this gives you a couple of really good options available. So if you have any other questions with regards to starting RPGs, we're always available to help out. You can find me on Twitter. I'll be at Billionaires XP. Irene, whereabouts will you be?
I'm at irogue_XP, polishing my trophies.
Fair enough. And Sky, whereabouts can we find you?
I'm at Sky Knight XP on both Twitter and Twitch.
Oh yes,
I
I'm
suppose we
also
should-
at irogue_XP on Twitch as well. Polishing
and,
less of my trophies. Normally, I'm just getting myself killed.
And I'm at Rafe Thegrum on Twitch, and we all stream between Tuesdays and Thursdays around 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can catch us anytime when we're there, and we'll usually have stuff up on our YouTube channel, which is the XP Billionaires. Hana, where can people find you if they want to make some suggestions or offer any advice?
Okay, so I'm on Twitter at XP_hobo. I do not have anything useful or helpful to say, but I will be posting a lot of pictures of my Sims family.
Fair enough. That's a good start.
Your Sims family.
And I welcome suggestions from anyone out there who wants to tell me how to video game, because I do not know how to do it.
There is no right way.
Yeah, no, there is only one way, and I'll get into that in just a second. And as always, everything, including the upcoming transcript for this episode, courtesy of Hana, will be on our WordPress page, xpbillionaires.wordpress.com. And if you'd like to support us, please send us a donation on Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/xpbillionaires. So like I said before to Hana, there's always a way to game, and it really is just to keep gaming. So we will see you next week. Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Later all.